Hey, welcome back. Quick question before we start. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm probably too old for this, or I missed my chance?
Because if you have, you're definitely not alone. And honestly, that thought might be the only thing actually standing in your way.
I'm Michelle. Welcome to Daily English Listening Podcast. So glad you're here today.
And I'm Chris. Today we're talking about something that goes way beyond English. It's about the idea that it is never too late to change your life. And yeah, we're going to talk a lot about language learning too, because that's where most of us feel that doubt the hardest.
Just let this conversation sit with you. You don't have to take notes. You don't have to do anything. Just listen and let it land.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to hear something at the right moment.
And this might be that moment for someone listening right now.
Okay, so Michelle, I want to start with something real, because I think a lot of people who are learning English right now, maybe they started later than they wanted to. Maybe they're in their 30s, 40s, or even older, and there's this voice in the back of their head saying, you should have started years ago.
That voice is so common. And what's interesting is that it doesn't matter what the goal is, learning a language, changing careers, going back to school, that voice shows up every single time.
Every time. And the problem isn't the voice itself. The problem is when we actually believe it.
Because the moment you accept that it's too late, you stop trying. And when you stop trying, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You prove yourself right for the wrong reasons.
A self-fulfilling prophecy. I love that you said that. For anyone who hasn't heard that expression, it means when you believe something so strongly that your actions end up making it come true. Like, I told myself I'd fail, so I never really tried, and then I failed.
Exactly that. And with language learning, it happens all the time. People say, I'm too old to learn English. And then they don't practice, and then they don't improve, and then they say, see, I was right.
When in reality, the belief was the problem, not the age.
Not the age at all. There's actually a lot of research showing that adults have real advantages when learning a language. We have context, we have life experience, we understand how to connect ideas.
That's something I didn't know until pretty recently. I always assumed kids just had some magic ability to pick up languages.
Kids are fast at certain things, pronunciation especially, but adults are better at understanding grammar patterns, building vocabulary strategically, and staying motivated when they know why they're doing something.
That word, motivated, it's interesting because it's not just about feeling excited. Being truly motivated means you have a reason that's bigger than the inconvenience of the hard days.
Yes, and that reason is what keeps you going when progress feels slow, when you miss a week of practice, when you feel like you haven't improved.
Which brings me to something I want to ask everyone listening right now, and I genuinely want to know this, so please drop it in the comments. What is the one thing that made you want to improve your English? Was it a job opportunity, travel, a person, a dream you have? Tell us. Because that reason, whatever it is, that's your fuel.
That's your fuel. Write it down if you haven't already, and share it below, seriously. Reading those comments reminds all of us why we're here.
Okay, so let's talk about the practical side of this. Because never give up sounds great, but what does that actually look like in real life?
Right, because motivation alone doesn't build a habit. You need consistency, and consistency doesn't mean doing something perfectly every day. It means doing something regularly, even when it's small.
Small is actually the key word there. I have a friend, Marcus. He decided he wanted to get back into learning Portuguese. He'd studied it years ago, dropped it, felt guilty about it for a long time.
That guilt is so real, by the way.
So real. And he came back to it at 38, and instead of signing up for an intensive course or buying every book available, he started with 10 minutes a day. Just 10.
And what happened?
8 months later, he went to Brazil and had full conversations. Not perfect, but real, genuine conversations with people. He said it was one of the proudest moments of his life.
That story gives me chills every time I hear something like it, because 10 minutes a day sounds almost too small to matter, but compounding is a powerful thing.
Compounding. Say more about that.
So, compounding is a concept that usually comes up in finance. It's the idea that small gains build on each other over time and eventually produce results that seem disproportionately large. 10 minutes a day is 60 hours a year. That's a lot of English.
When you put it that way, it reframes everything.
It really does. And the beautiful thing about language learning is that every single thing you understand today makes tomorrow slightly easier. It literally compounds.
And you don't need a perfect plan. You need a sustainable one.
Sustainable, that's such an important word. Something sustainable is something you can actually keep doing over time without burning out. A plan that works for your real life, not for an ideal version of your life.
Like studying 3 hours a day might sound great in theory, but if you have a job and a family and a life, that plan lasts about 4 days.
4 generous days.
Whereas 30 minutes, or even 20, that you can actually protect. You can find that time.
And protect is the right word. You have to treat that time like an appointment you don't cancel.
I think the other thing that holds people back, beyond age and time, is this feeling that they need to start over completely. Like, I learned some English years ago, but I forgot most of it, so I have to start from zero.
That is almost never true. The brain doesn't erase things cleanly. What feels forgotten is usually just dormant. It comes back much faster than it took to learn the first time.
Dormant, like it's sleeping.
Exactly like that. And when you start again, you're not a beginner, you're a returner. And returners move fast.
I like that. Returner. That reframes the guilt completely.
Because the guilt of I stopped is so heavy for a lot of people. They feel like they wasted time, like they have to apologize to themselves before they can start again.
And the guilt becomes another reason to not start.
When the truth is, the fact that you're thinking about it again means something. It means that desire never fully went away.
That's actually a really powerful thought. The desire didn't die. It just waited.
It waited for the right moment, the right push, the right conversation, maybe even this one.
Maybe this one. And here's the wild card thought I want to throw in, because I think it reframes the whole too late idea in a completely different way.
Go for it.
We always think about too late as a fixed point in time, like there's a deadline somewhere and we missed it. But the only deadline that actually exists is the end of your life. Everything before that is still time you have.
That is a perspective shift.
Right? Like, you're not late, you're just not done yet.
Not done yet. I want everyone to sit with that for a second.
And the people who make the biggest changes in their lives are usually not the ones who had the most time or the most resources. They're the ones who decided that whatever time they had left was enough to try.
Determination is that quality, the decision to keep moving towards something, regardless of the obstacles. Not because it's easy, because it matters to you.
And determination isn't something you either have or you don't. It's a muscle you build. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you're building it.
Every 10-minute session, every episode you listen to on your commute, every word you look up instead of skipping.
It adds up. It always adds up.
And you know what's interesting? The people who say, I wish I had started sooner, they all started at some point. They just forgot that at one time, today was also someday.
Wow, that landed.
Today used to be someday, and now it's here. So what are you going to do with it?
Okay, before we close out, let's spend a moment on some of the expressions and ideas we touched on today, because a few of them are genuinely worth carrying with you.
We talked about the idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and this one is worth really understanding because it shows up everywhere in life, not just in language learning. It means a belief that ends up coming true because the belief itself changes your behavior. I'll never be good at this leads to not trying, which leads to not improving, which confirms the original belief. The belief created the outcome.
And the way to break it is simple, not easy, but simple. You act differently before you feel differently. You practice before you feel ready.
Then there's consistency, which is not about being perfect, it's about being regular. She's consistent with her practice means she shows up, not that she's always brilliant when she does.
And paired with that, compounding. The idea that small efforts build on each other over time. 10 minutes a day doesn't feel like much, but it becomes 60 hours a year. Progress that seems invisible day to day becomes undeniable month to month.
Sustainable is another one worth keeping. If your plan isn't sustainable, it isn't really a plan. It's a sprint, and sprints end. I need a sustainable routine means something I can realistically keep doing in my actual life, not my ideal life.
And then determination, which we said is not a personality trait you're born with. It's a muscle. His determination got him through the hardest part of the course, means he kept going when everything in him wanted to stop.
These aren't just English words. They're the vocabulary of people who actually follow through on things.
Well said. And speaking of following through, if today's conversation got you thinking about what you genuinely enjoy doing, what lights you up, what you'd explore if you gave yourself permission, we have an episode that goes perfectly with this one.
We did an episode all about hobbies and interests, how to talk about the things you love doing in English, but more than that, how reconnecting with what you enjoy is one of the most natural ways to keep learning, because when you care about the topic, the language sticks.
And honestly, a lot of people find their reason to keep learning English inside a hobby they didn't know they could pursue in another language. Go check that one out.
Thank you so much for being here today. If this episode meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.
And remember, you're not late, you're just not done yet. See you in the next one.
Take care, everyone.